Hi, I'm Tinny from minibulldesign, and today I want to talk about the finer points of alcohol stove design, traditional stoves. I hesitate to make this video because I think a lot of people are probably going to give me a lot of flack on it, but with the many years of studying alcohol stoves, I've pretty much proven to myself that this is correct. Of course, you have to take into account that for a long time in history, if you said the world was flat, people would go, well, yeah. And if you said that the earth was the center of the universe, well, yeah. And Fulton, when he made the first steam engine steamboat, people said, steam's never going to go anywhere. That's no good. Called it Fulton's Folly. I think you probably remember that all trains used to be powered by steam, and almost anything mechanical that developed horsepower, steam. So a lot of people have been told that they weren't right. But, so I'm going out on a limb here to explain this. Okay, what I want to address today about the traditional alcohol stoves, soda can stoves, open top and pressurized. The issue I want to talk about is pulsing. Now, over the years we've all seen a lot of stoves that pulsed badly, and nobody ever seemed to figure out exactly why they pulsed. I struggled with this for years, and I could do things to get them to stop, but it didn't make any sense to me. And I never really had a good solid grasp on why they pulsed. Okay, here's what I've learned. Let's take an open top design first, like a BIOS. The BIOS doesn't pulse, but I've done several things to it to make it so it wouldn't. Okay, here's the deal. With that open top stove, the alcohol is in the center, and it goes through some ports in the bottom and runs out between the two walls. Now, once it's out between the two walls, if you have a stove without a wick, and you light the inside puddle of alcohol, it'll start burning, and it very slowly warms up the body of the stove. When the alcohol gets up to a temperature, I'm just going to pull out a number here just so I'll have a reference point. Say the boiling point of alcohol where it actually starts expanding and creating a gas from a liquid is 130. Okay, at 130, that alcohol between the two walls starts to boil and gas off, turn from a liquid to a gas, and it goes out to jets, and the jets light. Okay, now when the jets light, they are giving off heat to boil your water, but they're also heating the body of the stove alarmingly fast. Okay, what happens is when that heat starts heating that alcohol, the hotter the alcohol gets, the faster it gases off. Not too far into the process, just a few seconds into the process, as the alcohol turns from a liquid to a gas, it builds pressure. That's what forces it out to jets. Well, not too far into the process, depending on how it's heated, there will be so much expansion of the alcohol that it can't get out to jets fast enough. When it can't get out to jets fast enough, it'll create a little bit of pressure inside between the two walls. When it does that, it pushes down on the alcohol and pushes the alcohol back into the main center chamber and out from between the two walls. And it'll push it all right out. You'll see the alcohol come right up on the inner chamber. Well, when it all gets out of there, there's no alcohol to expand anymore between the walls, and the pressure drops suddenly and dramatically, which causes the alcohol in the center to flow back in between the walls, which is superheated, which causes it to immediately expand, which causes an immediate pressure spike, which pushes it back out again. And that will oscillate back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until the body of the stove heats up enough to stabilize it, and then it'll burn steady. Now, how I got around this was with two things. One is I used a primer wick, which you probably noticed when a BIOS very first blossoms, it'll blossom like this. Well, that's going through that event horizon right then. But the wick heats it so fast it goes right by it within a second and doesn't pulse. The second thing I've done is I put holes on the inner wall so that as the pressure builds between the two walls and can't get out the jets fast enough, it just vents back through these inner and vents right back into the inside. So you don't get the pressure differential between the inside and outside, and it doesn't push the alcohol out. Okay, that explains the open top stove. Now I know everybody's going to say, well, if that's true, then why do some pressurized stoves pulse? They pulse differently, but they still pulse, and they pulse for a totally different reason. Okay, the reason why they pulse is as they're warming up, the alcohol finally gets up to the temperature inside of the stove, which is sealed except for the jets, and it starts to gas off and push the gas out the jets, and when they come out they light and the body starts to heat. Well, as the body starts to heat, that alcohol starts boiling really fast, and it actually creates just a slight bit of pressure inside of the stove. Well, if the alcohol is just at 1/10 of a degree over the temperature it boils at, and you introduce pressure in there, alcohol that's under pressure has a higher boiling point than alcohol that isn't under pressure. So what happens is it builds pressure, the boiling point goes up, and the alcohol isn't up to that new boiling point, so it quits boiling, slumps down. Once it slumps down, it heats up a little bit, starts boiling again, comes up, builds pressure, goes back down. Now on a stove without a primer wick, it can get caught in that loop and do that for quite a while, maybe 10 seconds. But if it has a primer wick, it might go through that just a few times before it comes out solid. But it's being heated so fast it goes through that event horizon, within a second or two and straightens right out. And that's the reason why stoves pulse. And the ones that heat up very slowly, that don't have a primer wick and have small jets, are more susceptible to it than the ones that have a primer wick and big jets. And on the double wall stove, the one that are internally vented, are even less prone to it. My BIOS Micro has 4 jets on the inside, right up to the top. And people thought that was to keep it from boiling over. It's not. It's to keep it from pulsing. That stove pulsed badly before I put those jets in. Because it's a fairly heavy body, and it does take a little while for it to heat up. And it gets in that event horizon, and it would do that until I internally jetted it, and that took care of it. So, the world isn't flat. The Earth isn't the center of the universe. Fulton had a good design, and this is what makes stoves pulse. I'm Tinny from minibulldesign. Get out and hike, take a friend, enjoy the great outdoors, and more important than anything, try to have a really great day, and try to take just a little time out to have some fun today. Bye-bye.